Hi there, and welcome to the channel. This presentation is going to explore creative career paths that a high-performing data analyst could move towards, beyond a ceiling that might be presently blocking them. Personally, I've worked as a senior data analyst and mentor for many years, and I've supported many individuals to move from customer service into data analyst roles and beyond. Helping people with their careers is really important to me and is something I'm hoping to pass on with this. First of all, let me frame what I mean by data analyst in this context. The data analyst works in or with the business to help them with the reporting and analysis. Some of the key skills: they need to write and understand technical code, such as SQL and Python. They can manipulate, transform, and extract data, create operational reports, design self-service dashboards, and deep dive analysis that can help drive business strategy. Now let me give context around what it looks like for a high-performing data analyst to be blocked by a career ceiling. Some indicators are: you're consistently rated as a high performer. Despite that, your pay rises are minimal or non-existent. That may be because you're at the top end of your pay grade. There's lack of direct role progression in your current team. Previously complex tasks can now be completed rapidly and to a high standard. You have a burning ambition to grow, but you no longer feel challenged. So if you're experiencing one or more of these indicators in your career, what sort of options do you have? In my experience, there are 4 streams that I have personally explored. At the top, there is people, and that involves people management and leadership. On the right is technical, which involves depth in technical code and data management. At the bottom is project, which draws upon all other streams for a particular deliverable. And finally, on the left is domain, where you retain your core data analyst role, but focus on a new business department. So let's explore the people stream first. People stream is characterized by growing skills in relation to people management and leadership. So what roles are available to a data analyst? So 3 roles presented here. On the left, you have the lead data analyst role. Can also go by the name of technical lead role, solution lead. The focus in this role is taking the second-in-command ownership of all team projects and outputs, as well as mentoring junior staff. It doesn't necessarily involve direct people management generally. Next, the team leader role has people reporting into them. The focus here is on performance management, motivation, career progression discussions, code sign-off, but in this role, you're moving physically away from coding yourself. On the right side, you have training and development, which is more of a lateral move, where you take your key data and technology skills and create content to induct and teach new analysts, as well as running refresher courses. Beyond those levels, you can move to senior manager, and that's particularly leading from a team leader role. In the senior manager role, you oversee multiple data teams and a focus on designing data strategy for the whole department. So what are the opportunities and drawbacks in the people stream? Usually, you'll have a decent salary jump early on, as well as building depth in key leadership skills and influence. The drawbacks, however, it can be a linear path, meaning as your salary grows quickly at first, and you move into a management paradigm, it is much harder to move back to an analyst role as a result. There are also less roles and more competition as you continue moving upwards. So you may get stuck, then not being able to go backwards or forwards. Another drawback is moving off the tools, so to say, which meaning you'll be doing less, if any, physical coding. Moving on to the technical stream, this is characterized by growing skills in relation to technical coding and data management. So I've identified of many roles out there, 4 opportunities within this. At the top arrow, you've got data engineering. So the data engineers focus on working with big data. They build data pipelines to move data from the source systems to reporting databases and just general optimizing technology resources. On the right is data scientists. This is a very popular career path with the trend of AI development, and it makes it quite competitive. The main goal here is to use mathematics, statistics, and artificial intelligence, so on, to predict outcomes for the business. The bottom arrow, there we have data modeler, or similarly known as the data architect. So they have a helicopter view of all the systems and databases within an organization, and they plan how they all interact together. Finally, on the left, there is data management, which is also known as data governance. So they identify where each data point is, what those data points mean in business terms, what the source of truth on those data points are, and so on. Looking at the pros and cons again, you should expect good salary increases, both in the short term and the long term as you develop. And also, given that your current role is data analyst, if you love technical coding, then this stream helps retain that depth of technical skills. Some of the drawbacks, however, there can be a steep learning curve with the complexity of technical knowledge required, so you may struggle to bridge that gap. The other drawback is the potential need to invest in education, like a Masters of Computer Science, for instance. So not only is it investing time, but also money. Not to mention, you may need to start at a more junior position initially. Moving on to the project stream. This is characterized by moving from the business into an aligned project role. Most organizations will have one or more projects running. Some example parameters here. So let's say the business wants to implement a new technology stack, and we'll call it a customer management system. They want it implemented in 2 years, and they want to spend $100 million overall. So given a project like that, what sort of roles might be available to a data analyst? The project is framed as living in between the business, which is where your customer service consultants and their management team live, which is shown on the left, and you have IT infrastructure, meaning those people who build and maintain the software and hardware for the company, and that's on the right side. The project team must interact with both arms to implement the goal. So a few roles here. On the left, you have the business analyst role, and that focuses on interacting directly with the business, understanding their processes, documenting what they need from the new technology. They will then take those requirements and pass them downstream to the technical analyst. The technical analyst in the middle, they receive the documentation, they analyze it and convert it to technical requirements, which are the methodology of how the software and database should be built to meet their business requirements. From there, it moves to your developers and testers, who will then physically develop the software, test the output meets the requirements, check on general quality as well. Beyond those roles, you can look towards the project manager role. The project manager has a much higher responsibility to understand the project from end to end. They set up agile sprints, manage time and resource allocation, as well as do budget tracking. So what are the opportunities and drawbacks for a project? Again, increase in salary, particularly if you were to take on a contract role. Also, it offers flexibility in job roles. For instance, as the project develops, it moves through different phases with different levels of personnel required. This means you can move around a bit and you can try before you buy. So let's say you try business analyst role for 6 months. You may say, fantastic, I've learned a lot, but it's not for me long term. Instead, let me try the technical analyst role for the next phase. Drawbacks, however, a project is fast paced. So once you're inducted, you have to get up and running quite quickly. It can be volatile in nature, with project streams moving faster or some streams grinding to a halt. So this can present stressful and confusing situations. Also, in general, you have constant time and budget pressure to get tasks completed. The final stream here is domain. This is characterized by maintaining data analyst's skill set, but changing the business context focused on. So maybe there's no current opportunities in the other streams at this point in time, or perhaps you're not ready to dive into a new path, but you do want to grow and you see an opportunity that comes up in a new department for the same role type. So there's a few, not an exhaustive list, but these are some very typical functions that you may see in medium to large organizations. So for instance, you may be working in operations currently, you're focusing on the data points related to business processes, phone calls, customer inquiries, and so on. But as you become an expert in those, you want to diversify to other areas in the business. The customer domain relates to customer satisfaction levels, product reviews, and complaints. So here you may look at reasons for complaints and what opportunities for growth are presented from those complaints. The sales and marketing stream is another area which may involve tracking the before and after sales revenue related to a marketing campaign. You have product development analysis. You have the financial department, which may be looking at holistically the money the company is making, how much each sales staff is bringing in, the cost of wages, and so on. And finally, the risk and auditing domain. So that involves analysis around external regulatory rules that need to be adhered to, measuring quality of service, reducing fraud incidents, cybersecurity testing, and so on. So what are the opportunities with domain? You get to retain your core data analyst skills, meaning you don't have to dive into a whole new world that you are unsure of. But within that, you get to build depth of business knowledge. I want to pause on this for just a moment. This point right here, that is being strong in both business processes and technical knowledge. This single-handedly has led to a significant competitive advantage in my career, leading to massive pay rises and opportunity. It's something I'm hoping to expand upon in a whole module at a later date around how and why that is important. Some of the drawbacks, you won't get much of a pay bump initially, as it is more of a sideways move, and you may be perceived as a new analyst on the block. So you have to take a little bit more time to show that you are a high performer, and understanding that new domain will take a little bit more time as well. So those are the 4 creative career paths that you can explore. Finally, I want to look at the opportunity costs that you will be presented with. The opportunity costs are 2 sides to the same coin. They convey positives and negatives of a decision, the answer to which comes down to who you are and what is important to you. So are you focused on getting a high salary quickly at the potential expense of job satisfaction? Are you going up a narrow path, where the further you go up that path, the harder it is to change? Or are you keeping your options open with a wide path, but potentially slower salary increases? Will your burning ambition to grow your salary and develop your skills lead you to roles with undue high pressure that you're not comfortable with? With work-life flexibility, a higher paid and higher responsibility role will likely demand more hours of work in a week. as well as more time in the physical office, as opposed to your ability to work from home? Does it match your personality type? For instance, if you are highly introverted, then will managing people be both frustrating and draining? And finally, consideration of industry trends. Is it a role that will be faded out with the new age of AI? That concludes the presentation. Thanks so much if you made it this far. I'm really passionate about data analysts' career paths, so please give it a like and comment around further content you want to hear about.